Hello again. Now, no request has been received from the Namibian police about the investigation into the 2020 burglary at President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa's Phala farm in Limpopo. That's according to the Department of Justice and Correctional Services. Namibian officials say they didn't get their help from counterparts in South Africa when they asked. Well, to tell us exactly what the Department of Justice knows about this, I'm joined in the studio by Chrispin Phiri from the Justice and Correctional Services Ministry, just to tell us exactly what this is all about. Chrispin, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. The Inspector General of the police in Namibia, who's been quoted by the media, I mean, there's been a lot of this in the media over the last couple of weeks, insists that there were two occasions when there was an interaction of sorts between themselves over this issue with the South African police. The first time, he says in his statement, it was at the no man's land of a particular border between South Africa and Namibia. This is SAPS, not the Department of Justice, of course. The second one, he says it was a request, which he says was written to your department, to Minister Ronald Lamola, attention for the NPA. Did your department ever receive that?
Well, it's important to state that in the official statement, the Inspector General actually says he sent it to the South African authorities. So it's vague. It's not specifically to the Ministry of Justice. So over a couple of days, we've sought to really establish what exactly is meant by South African authorities and if it's the Ministry of Justice, particularly the central authority being the Director General, that it is meant. Because normally the Namibians and ourselves, as the sister nations that we are, we do exchange a lot of mutual legal assistance requests, and the protocol has been well established through the diplomatic channels.
So they would know what channels to use properly? Precisely.
So this would be nothing unusual. There are a number of requests that we deal with almost on a weekly, even monthly basis on various matters regarding mutual legal assistance and sometimes even extradition requests that the Namibians would like a Namibian national who's in South Africa who has committed a crime in Namibia and vice versa. So we were a bit intrigued when we saw that statement and we sought to follow it up. And we've done so through the diplomatic channels. Our High Commissioner in Namibia knows nothing about the request. Neither does the Namibian High Commissioner in South Africa know about the request.
And neither does the office of Minister Lamola.
And neither does our office, and neither does the Central Authority, which is the office
so
of
you've
the
checked.
Director General.
He says he sent it to the authorities, and other media have reported that it was the Department of Justice for the attention of the NPA. The NPA the other day say it also never received such a request. So you can confirm that certainly there was nothing that was officially written to your department about this matter by the Namibian Inspector General.
No, well, what we can say is that we have not received it. If they say they have written it, it has definitely not come through the official channels, and so we are not in receipt of such.
It may very well be that go to that extent. You describe Namibia as a sister nation, which means you've got cordial, good relationships. They would be aware, a senior government official like that, or the head of the police of Namibia, Inspector General of Nampol, as the Namibian police is known, why would he go to the extent of publicly issuing a statement where he says, we've sent something to the authorities, and there's an interpretation that is come to the Justice Department?
Well, it may very well be that that is the case, but for some strange reason, which is an anomaly, highly unusual instance, it has not reached us. That's what we can confirm, and that's where we stand on the issue. So we wouldn't want to say that it's not true that they have not written something. We cannot vouch for what has happened on the other side. What we can vouch for is what happens on our side. And once we receive such a request, we stand ready to execute or really respond to it, as we have done with many others.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's just a bit odd that you haven't received. He says it's been sent to the authorities and you've checked, and at this stage there is nothing that has been received. Are you going then to engage? Because this is now public knowledge. It's being written about and commented about, not just in Namibia. In fact, very shortly I'm going to be going live to Windhoek to speak to a journalist there to gauge the sentiment about this issue, because this is a very big issue. You just heard the story now. The DA says they want to write to the FBI to investigate the allegations against the president. And Namibia is very much embroiled in this because allegedly the people who were involved in the robbery at the president's farm in Limpopo are Namibian citizens. Are you as a department now going to engage to establish exactly if there was something written, where is it?
We have actually started that process. And that's why we are able to come out with great certainty to say on our part, there is no record of this request, and we hope that the Namibian authorities will assist us to establish exactly what might have transpired with the request. Because as you correctly say, it is not a matter that can be swept under the carpet. It is not a matter that we can keep quiet about. It's a matter that we need to be transparent about and take South Africans into our confidence to say that this is how this matter has been handled and this is where it is thus far, as we do with many other mutual legal assistance requests. So not that because there's a certain individual involved, the president in particular, it warrants even more attention. No, but generally, we should treat this like we treat any other mutual legal assistance request. And so that is the expectation that South Africans have, and that is the expectation that we must meet. So we have started the engagement with the Namibian authorities, and we are hoping to get a response from them, from their side, so that they can establish what exactly has happened with the request. But from our side, we have it on record officially that it has not reached us. It has not also gone through the diplomatic channels.
Yeah. I want to ask you the last question as we conclude, Chrispin, in this way. There was a meeting, according to the Namibian police, on the border of the two countries in the no man's land some time ago around this issue. Okay, we don't know what was discussed there, but they report that it was there. There's this supposed request that was supposed to be written. You've established beyond any doubt it's not there. You are now in contact with the Namibian authorities to try and really get to grips with this. When you step back and you look at this, what would be concerning to Minister Lamula right now? What would be the main thing that would be his concern in the interest of transparency?
Well, we'd want to get to the bottom of it, to show South Africans that, look, this is a matter that we're treating like any other matter. And most importantly, we don't want the perception to persist that there's a cover-up, which is what we are currently seeing in the media domain in particular, that it presents itself as though there's a cover-up, and there's nothing of that sort.
Because there's an absence of right information. You can imagine who's lying, is there somebody lying or not? There is, of course, a process now to investigate, and this matter was never ever reported by the president formally to police to say my house has been robbed.
Indeed. So we are going to then, hopefully with our Namibian sister nation, get to the bottom of it. And if there's such a request, like we say, we stand ready to really execute it and ensure that...
So who would Minister Lamula be contacting in this case? Will he be contacting his counterpart in Namibia in terms of the protocols between the two sister nations?
We're sister nations, so we have very good relations with the Namibians. We've already had engagements with them through our central authority, which is our Director General, but we've also had engagements with their Ministry of Justice directly. So those engagements are happening parallel to each other to ensure that we get to the bottom of this very quickly.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Chrispin Phiri from the Ministry of Justice and Correctional Services here in South Africa. We'll have to wait and see what the engagements now that are underway will produce. Of course, telling us that as far as the South African Ministry of Justice is concerned, it has not yet received any formal request from the Namibian Police Inspector General regarding the theft that took place at the Limpopo farm of President Cyril Ramaphosa.